Where in the Bible does it talk about fasting?
So, Bible, fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so actually there's a good bit.
Right.
Sorry.
Who's out of it?
I don't know.
Bible. Oh, yeah.
All right, yeah. So, all right. All right, so in Scripture, there's actually a good bit of deal. A good bit of deal. There's a good deal.
Yeah. Is the sentence going to go in a direction?
All right. Mm-hmm. So in Scripture,
Bible.
Yes, in the Bible,
okay,
there's actually quite a bit
about fasting.
About fasting. Okay. Yes. All right. So we see Jesus talking about it.
Okay.
And so.
He did it, right?
Oh yeah,
for 40
days.
Yeah,
Jesus didn't even talk about it, or not. He didn't just talk about it. Yeah. So he actually fasted for 40 days himself.
Right. That was when Satan was like, "Hey, do all this stuff," and he was like, "No."
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And so so a lot of us know it as Jesus' temptation in the wilderness or the desert, whatever. But yeah, so Jesus fasted for 40 days. Jesus also taught about fasting on the Sermon on the Mount. When he talked about, hey, when you give, when you pray, and then he says, and whenever you fast. And so, in other words, it's as if there's a expectation that Jesus will actually, or that we will actually fast.
So we're expected to not eat.
Yeah. So, all right. How about this? Let me just quote a few different verses.
Perfect.
All right. Let me do that.
I'll sit back and just listen to you quote.
That'd be great. All right, so Matthew chapter 6, verse 16, from the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says that whenever you fast, don't be gloomy like the hypocrites, for they make their faces unattractive so that their fasting is obvious to people. Truly, I tell you, they have their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting is obvious to others, but to your Father who is in secret. Or isn't obvious to others, but to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And this follows the same line.
That was a good verse. I like that one.
Yeah. This follows the same line of conversation that Jesus had already spoken about in regards to when you pray, when you give. So he says, when you fast. And so in other words, this is one of the spiritual disciplines, if you were, that's found in the life of Jews, yes, but also for Christians. Okay. Now, in the same gospel, in Matthew chapter 9, Jesus is actually questioned by individuals of why his disciples are not fasting. Because he's talked about, hey, when you fast, and it was very common for other disciples to fast of different rabbis. But here's Jesus and his disciples are not fasting. So he's actually being asked by John's disciples. They say, hey, why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? And so Jesus in Matthew...
Because my disciples hungry.
Yeah.
Been walking all around all day, handing out fishes
and stuff.
And collecting donkeys and whatever.
Yes, those things.
And palm trees.
Collecting palm trees.
Yeah, for the
just grabbing the trees and
for the
carrying
walk
them around.
through town.
Right.
They're busy and they're hungry.
Okay. Anyways, moving forward.
Loaves of bread.
Are you hungry? Is this making you hungry? You keep using. All right. Words. All right. Anyway.
What?
Fine. Matthew 9, verse 15.
Just trying to do my part on the podcast and say funny stuff when you say Jesus stuff.
Right.
All right. Next.
I didn't even get through what I was saying originally. All right. So Matthew 9, verse 15.
Yeah.
So Jesus said to them, can the wedding guests be sad while the groom is with them? The time will come when the groom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast. And so he's speaking to himself as if he's the groom. Okay.
Oh.
And so he's saying, hey, while I'm with them, they will not fast, but there'll be a time that will come. I will not be with them, and then they will fast.
So we're supposed to have not eaten since year 33 AD.
Okay.
No food.
No. Okay.
Then.
Well, and Jesus more than likely died not in 33 AD, but somewhere 28, 29. Let's put it in that range.
What?
Yeah.
But wrong.
No, not wrong.
Uh,
Because Jesus more than likely was born in like 4 or 5 BC.
How was Jesus born before Christ?
Yeah, but that's not what. But that's not what it. I mean, that's what we have labeled it as.
Yeah, because that's.
Yeah, because we.
Why do you think we labeled it that way? All right.
All right. Because we'll take BC and AD, and then you'll hear people talk about it, and this really makes no sense. But they'll say things like BC is before Christ, okay, and AD is like after death, and you're like, well, no.
So Jesus' life didn't count, basically.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's not.
It didn't count in the number charts. According to. Whatever. Keep going. Fasting. I don't care. Oh, that was a good trail to go down.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, all right. Maybe we'll do a whole thing on like.
Tangent complete.
Oh, yeah. So we'll do a whole thing on like dating. Okay.
Dating? We already did that. Did like 4 episodes of it.
I mean like the BC and AD, the BCE and the CE.
Yeah.
We'll have to do like a conversation of all that.
Mm.
I mean, because like the BC before Christ, but it's not. Anyways, I don't. Well, that's a whole different episode. We'll just okay. All right. All right. Back to what I was saying.
Bible. Fasting.
Bible and fasting. All right. So yes. So no, we don't, or no, we're not supposed to like just never eat again. Like that's not fasting.
Okay.
That's just starving yourself to death.
Right.
Okay. So fasting is something that is done for a specific period of time.
Okay.
So I'm abstaining from food for a specific period of time. All
Cool.
right. All right. And then actually in the Old Testament, because we could look at other examples in the New Testament as well as far as fasting is concerned, but in the Old Testament, there's actually a whole chapter on fasting.
Oh.
And so Isaiah 58 is literally a whole chapter on fasting.
Hungry.
And it speaks about the distinction or the difference between a fast that is considered like a true fast or a just fast, a righteous fast, and then a fast that would be considered, okay, this is not a true fast, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes distinctions between the two. And what it's really saying is hey, you have fasted. So here's the prophet Isaiah, and he's speaking to his countrymen, and he's saying, yeah, you fasted, but when you fasted, you still were not like you're fasting, but that doesn't earn you anything, doesn't gain you anything, because you're doing that as if you're really religious and this is really going to gain you something. But the reality is you're not even taking care of the poor. You're not treating people with kindness and with justice. Like, so he kind of speaks to this and says, this is not a true fast. He says, like, for example, in verse 4, verse 3. And so Isaiah 58, why have we fasted, but you have not seen? We have denied ourselves, but you haven't noticed. And what he's saying is, this is what they're saying to God. Like, the people are saying, we fasted, God, but you've not seen us. We've denied ourselves, but you haven't noticed because you haven't done anything for us. You haven't changed our trajectory in anything. And it's like, then the Lord responds, look, you do as you please on the day of your fast and oppress all your workers. You fast with contention and strife to strike viciously with your fist. You cannot fast as you do today, hoping to make your voice heard on high. So in other words, yeah, you're fasting on this day, but also on this day, you're actually not carrying yourself with any kind of godliness. Like, you're not loving one another. You're not caring for one another. And so there's like this ritual act is not gaining you anything. So he goes on to say in verse 5, will the fast I choose be like this, a day for a person to deny himself, to bow his head like a reed, and to spread out sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? He says, but isn't this the fast I choose? to break the chains of wickedness, to untie the ropes of the yoke, to set the oppressed free, and to tear off every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, to bring the poor and homeless into your house, to clothe the naked when you see him, and to ignore your own flesh and blood? Then your light will appear like the dawn, and your recovery will come quickly. Your righteousness will go before you, and the Lord's glory will be your rear guard. At that time you will call, the Lord will answer. When you cry out, he will say, here I am. And so, and he goes on to say, and if you get rid of the yoke among you, the finger pointing and malicious speaking, if you offer yourself to the hungry, satisfy the afflicted one, then your light will shine in the darkness, and your night will be like a noonday. And so, again, the whole point is fasting in itself doesn't gain you anything. It's all about, okay, fine, you're fasting, but what else? What is the way you are living in relationship with others? Okay. And so those are just a few examples of fasting that we find in Scripture.